So you guys seem to like my previous debunk video where I defended SAO against villain TM and his terrible arguments. And because I enjoyed making the video and helped clear up some confusion and misinformation being spread, I decided to make another one. There are actually a few videos I would like to address, but a lot of them are on the longer side, and my computer can only handle so much storage because I practically have a potato for a PC. So this time, instead of responding to a video, I decided to respond to an article by CBR. I definitely will be making responses to actual full-fledged videos, but this is all I can do for now until I can get a better PC. I don't think CBR is a site that really needs any introduction. They're basically the IGN of the comic book world. Despite being one of the most popular news articles for pop culture, the people who write a lot of these articles don't come across as actual fans and only have a surface level understanding of certain works. It genuinely feels like they just read the wikis for these stories and not the actual stories themselves. I understand it's impossible to read every comic book ever, but if you're going to hire somebody to write an article about Batman, at least get somebody who actually knows something about Batman. CBR just comes off as a massive grifter site, and a lot of their SAO articles perfectly exemplify that. I genuinely felt like I was losing brain cells reading some of these. Not to mention, there are multiple articles with different opinions that directly contradict each other. I understand CBR has multiple writers, and no two people are ever going to have the exact same opinion, but CBR approved of all these articles, so it still sends mixed signals and feels disingenuous. Watch Mojo literally does the exact same thing. I'll only be focusing on one article today. I might cover more in the future. Also, to be fair to this person, this article is pretty old by now, so it is entirely possible if they've changed their mind since then, or would at least better articulate some of their points today. However, that doesn't change the fact that a lot of the points being brought up here are some of the most popular talking points that fueled SEO hate and helped the spread of the misinformation we see surrounding the series today. The article we'll be looking at today is the top 10 worst things Kirito has done. Now, let me preface this by saying I do not care about Kirito as a character. Like, at all. I've talked about this a few times on some of my live streams, but to me, Kirito is just so unbearably generic and boring. There are a lot of reasons why I love SAO, but Kirito is not one of them. I don't think he's necessarily a bad character, I just don't find him to be very interesting. So I don't want anybody watching this to think I'm defending my favorite self-insert power fantasy character. Far from it. But it's hard for me to say the hate he gets is justified because a lot of it is based on false reasoning, as we're about to see with this article.
Number 10. Groping Asuna. Even beyond Sword Art Online, this is probably an anime trope that can immediately die without a single person missing it. In anime in which two people eventually become a couple, there is often a scene where the girl is either seen naked by the boy by complete, totally reasonable accident, of course, or is touched inappropriately without permission by the boy. In an instance when Asuna and Kiritoful, having met pretty recently, Kirito definitely gropes Asuna. It may have been an accident, but he probably didn't need to do so much squeezing.
I don't really have much to say here. This is more of a subjective take on an anime trope and not really a legitimate critique of the actual character. The writer of the article even admits it was an accident and it wasn't done out of malicious intent. Also, Kirito and Asuna did not just recently meet. They've had a 2-year history together, fighting side by side on the front line, clearing floors in dungeons. So I can already tell that this person hasn't actually watched the series and has absolutely no idea what they're talking about.
Number 9. Saving Yui. This doesn't really seem like it should be a bad thing that Kirito's done. After all, he does save Yui's life. The problem is that there are a few issues with the way he does it. He essentially hacks into the game's code, keeping her from being erased from it, which is all well and good, except that he can't actually give her a body and personhood back. So, instead, he makes her into an item. He puts a person's consciousness into an item. He literally objectifies this little girl.
Okay, there are just so many things wrong with this, I don't even know where to begin. The last one was pretty bad, but I can at least excuse it for being a subjective opinion. But this is just objectively wrong on so many different levels. First of all, he doesn't hack into the game's code. This is probably one of the absolute worst, if not the worst misconception people have been spreading for years now. He uses Yui's account credentials to access a GM console and move program files. That's it. What he's doing is basically the equivalent of right-clicking a mouse and dragging a file. He was just at the right place at the right time.
This is actually a console the GM can use to gain emergency access to the system. I used it to delete the monster in the corridor.
If I'm fast enough, I might be able to use the GM's account to access the system.
Secondly, the Cardinal system was deleting her for disobeying the system, and it was trying to bring balance back to the game.
And now, because I disobeyed the Cardinal's directive, the system is running a check on my program. It thinks I'm a foreign object now.
Kirito turning her into an in-game item on his local save file on his headset made her undetectable by Cardinal and kept her safe. The admin access panel had limited capabilities, and Yui's account had limited access. This was literally the only way she could be saved, and it was the absolute best case scenario. Even if it weren't, he was under a time limit before the system kicked him out.
The system was about to reject Yui's admin credentials. The only thing I could do was take her program and turn it into a game object.
Kirito had limited time and limited options. What the fuck was he supposed to do? Just let her die?
What was I supposed to do? Just let him die?
Maybe.
He made the best possible decision under pressure. I also find it funny that this person seems to think that Kirito, for whatever reason, has no intent of giving Yui a body, and now she's suffering this eternal I have no mouth and I must scream type of torment, when neither are true.
When we get back, recreating her the way she was isn't gonna be easy. But if there's a way, we'll find it.
Good luck, Mommy.
She doesn't even stay in that state for long. Not only does she get brought back in Fairy Dance, but we even see Kirito and Mother's Rosario working on a way to bring her to the real world.
Alright, how's that? Can you see my face okay?
I see you, but you're a little blurry.
It's the autofocus again. It's gotta be that. Give me a sec, Yui.
Okay, Daddy.
This critique is just so unbelievably dumb for so many different reasons.
Number 8, pretending to be a girl. In a later part of the series, Kirito ends up in a virtual body that's more feminine than earlier versions of this body. So, he decides to lean into it and play the game as a girl. There's nothing really wrong with gender play on its own, and lots of anime characters have blurry gender expression lines. The problem is that Kirito is often presented as tricking people into thinking he's a girl when he's really not. The situation gives the slightly gross impression that the series believes gender non-conforming folks are tricking people into thinking they're something they aren't in order to get into spaces they're not usually allowed for some nefarious purpose. It's not a great look.
Oh boy, where do I even start? Let's just completely ignore the political side of things. This person is literally Don Quixote fighting windmills. If it wasn't already blatantly obvious before, then it should be by now that this person clearly didn't watch the show. The whole purpose of Kirito having a female avatar is for him to stay undercover. Kirito made a name for himself and practically became a celebrity after defeating SAO. Everybody knows who he is. He can't investigate the death gun case if he's constantly drawing attention to himself. This wasn't even a decision he made himself. The avatar was given to him without any detail or context, and he was forced to work with what he had. Also, just a little side note, I don't remember if this was ever a thing in the novels, but in the anime, if you pay close enough attention, you'll notice that Kirito is actually copying Asuna's mannerisms. I don't know, I just thought that was a cute little detail.
Number 7. Getting the Moonlit Black Cats killed. Kirito joins a guild called the Moonlit Black Cats. They're all friends with each other in the real world, besides Kirito, and they're a mid-level guild, so not super strong. Kirito, when asked about his level, lies to them and claims to be around the same level despite being a couple of levels stronger. Because of Kirito's help, the guild becomes more confident in their abilities and takes on a dungeon with monsters that are outside their weight class. They're all caught in a trap and killed except Kirito, of course, because he's strong enough to survive them. Maybe if he had been honest, they wouldn't have made this fatal mistake.
Holy media literacy, Batman. Talk about missing the mark this fucking hard. Now, to be fair, what Kirito did was wrong, so I can't fault this person too much. But the way they articulate their argument makes it seem like he was directly involved with their deaths. This mischaracterization is actually fucking horrible. Diavel's dying wish was for Kirito to unite the players. So as a means to prevent the beta testers from catching flag, he painted a target on his own back by making himself look worse than the other beta testers. Everybody in unison hated Kirito. Everybody except for Asuna. Asuna was Kirito's only real friend and acted as his sanctuary and safe place. After a while, Asuna joined the Knights of the Blood Oath, and they ended their partnership on good terms, and Kirito was on his own again. After months of isolation and loneliness, the Moonlit Black Cats accepted him and welcomed him with open arms. He lied to them out of fear of rejection. Now, of course, what he did was still wrong, but it only makes sense given his circumstances. It was a burden he carried with him for the rest of his life, and the reason why he became afraid to grow attached to somebody again. It also became his biggest motivation for becoming stronger. It's one of the reasons why he's as strong as he is. Also, it's not Kirito's fault they made a dumb decision. Literally every step of the way, he's trying to steer them away from doing something stupid, and they just ignore him.
Hey, while Kato's off buying the house, what do you guys say we go out and raise some extra cash?
Oh, then we can buy furniture.
Come on, let's go to a dungeon on a higher floor.
We should stick to our usual hunting spots.
But up there, we could make more and faster. Yeah, and at our levels, we don't have anything to worry about. A treasure chest! Woohoo!
No, wait!
You're stupid.
Number 6 mission for the Divine Stone of Returning Souls. After the Moonlit Black Cats die, Kirito is feeling pretty crummy about everything. He finds out about this stone can revive players and embarks on a quest to find it to at least revive the guild's leader, Sachi, who committed suicide following Kirito's news that her guild members were dead and that he was a higher-leveled player all along. Before dying, Sachi had called Kirito a beater, and Kirito is desperate to know what she meant by that. So, even though he's seeking an item to revive his dead friend, he's not even doing it just because he wants her to be alive again, but because he needs clarification of something she said before she died.
I'm sorry, but what the actual fuck? Sachi was not the leader. Kita was. Sachi did not commit suicide. Kita did. Those were not Sachi's final words. What the cinnamon toast fuck is going on here? I feel like I just walked into the Twilight Zone.
What's wrong?
Nothing, sweetie. We're just right about the mathematics. It seems he's kind of troubled. I ask him what's 9 plus 10. You know what he tells me?
What?
21. And he's so convinced he's right, he's willing to argue with his old man. I mean, what is this world coming to?
But he's right.
Huh?
He's right. 9 plus 10 does equal 21.
No, it doesn't.
Honey, are you feeling okay?
I'm not feeling okay. What do you mean? 9 plus 10 doesn't equal 21. It equals 19.
Sweetie, every math equation equals 21.
Now, hold on. That can't be true. Let me call somebody.
Officer McGrady speaking.
Hi there, Greg. Now listen here. Could you just settle this real quick? What's 9 plus 10?
Oh, he's 21, of course.
No, this can't be. This can't be true.
I'm sorry, honey. But 9 plus 10 does equal 21. Also, we're aliens.
There you have it. Changing one simple equation, the whole world around you crumbles and falls. Dad just trying to teach his son, but the only lesson learned today was, Dad, you stupid.
Also, this is just more horrible mischaracterization of Kirito. Yes, obviously he wants closure, but that doesn't mean he doesn't also want her to live again. Two things can be true at the same time. This is literally the definition of a false dilemma.
Number 5, his weird relationship with his sister. We find out in the series that Lifa is actually Kirito's sister in real life, though, for a while, neither of them knew it in the game. They're not actually siblings, but instead cousins, as Kirito was adopted by Lifa's mother when he was small, but it's still a weird look between them. When Kirito finds out about Lifa's feelings for him, instead of confronting them like an adult, he meets her in the game to try to have a battle with her. What possible purpose this could serve in this awkward situation isn't very clear at all.
Okay, while I am in agreement with most people that the love triangle in Fairy Dance is fucking horrible, and Kirito does have some questionable dialogue that kind of ruined his character in my eyes, how is this at all his fault? Not only does he remain loyal to Asuna, well, mostly, but this person even acknowledges that neither Kirito or Lifa are at all aware of their true identities. Also, he literally does try to talk to her like an adult. If anything, she's the one being irrational. Remember, Lifa was the one in love with Kirito. He doesn't reciprocate those feelings at all. It's completely one-sided. Also, it was her idea to have a duel in the first place, not Kirito. She challenged him because she was hurt and wanted to express her feelings. Kirito even apologizes for the way he handled the situation, so it's not like he's not taking accountability. Christ, I can't believe I'm actually defending Fairy Dance. Let's just fucking move on.
Number 4, marrying Asuna. Kirito and Asuna are the main couple of the series, and it's clear from the beginning of the show that they're the endgame couple. But they're also actual teenagers in real life who haven't spent any actual time together outside of this virtual reality situation they're both stuck in. It's not a great basis for a relationship, and even though it's not real, their declaration of love for each other and in-game marriage seems totally bizarre. They get married almost as soon as they decide to be a couple and live as a family with Yui, who isn't a real person outside of the game. It all seems deeply unhealthy, which is maybe to be expected considering they're stuck in an artificial environment.
Oh Lord Almighty, give me the strength I need to stop myself from slapping the ever-living fuck out of whoever wrote this dog shit article. Kirito and Asuna have already known each other for 2 years at this point. They've helped each other grow and develop into better people and overcome their insecurities. Kirito was afraid of getting attached to anyone again after what happened to the Moonlit Black Cats and had a target on his back after he willingly took on the burden of other beta testers. He spent 2 years in solitude in a world where everybody hated him. Asuna was the only person who saw him for who he really was and lifted him up when nobody else would. Asuna grew up in a privileged family where she never had to face any hardship. She had strict parents with high expectations and had practically no control over her life whatsoever. She wanted to return to the real world not because she actually valued her life, but because she was afraid of disappointing her parents. Kirito helped her finally realize what it meant to actually live and how to find joy and meaning even in the darkest of times.
I felt lost and hopeless, Every night I'd cry myself to sleep. It felt like each day that went by in here was another day lost from my real life. So I'd cry, and afterwards I'd go and fight as hard as I could. All I cared about was winning, getting stronger, and getting to the next floor. But then, I was walking along and I saw someone taking a nap in the shade. I was so mad. I told him he shouldn't waste his time like that. And then he said, and I'll never forget it, "This is Aincrad's best season and today's weather is at its optimal setting." He said it'd be a waste to go into some dungeon on such a beautiful day. So I tried lying down too, and you know what? I slept like a baby. And that's when I realized something. Even in a world like this, he was really living. He wasn't losing a day in the real world. He was gaining a day. Here. I thought about him before falling asleep. I noticed I wouldn't have nightmares. I began looking forward to seeing him again. It was like, for the first time, I was glad I was here. Kirito is everything to me. He's what the last 2 years were about. He's proof I'm alive.
They both suffered from loneliness and became each other's sanctuary and helped each other heal from their trauma. They are stuck in a world where they can die at any given moment. So they got married not just because they do genuinely love each other, but also out of fear that they might not live to see tomorrow. Also, nobody knew Yui was an AI. Even she didn't know that. I don't even see how that's relevant, given that unlike other AI, she actually is capable of feeling real emotions and has her own free will, practically making her indistinguishable from a real person. If anything, Yui actually helped strengthen Kirito and Asuna's bond. Also, I kind of feel like this goes against their point from earlier, where they say that Kirito saving Yui was a good thing. Like, if Yui weren't real, would it really even matter?
Number 3, he's overpowered. Part of Kirito's thing is that he's probably the most powerful character in the game. This is because he's a beta tester at the start, which means he's had some advantages the other players haven't had. This is a frustrating part of Kirito's character because, despite the fact that he's really good, and there are very few characters who can beat him, he doesn't seem to break these skills out until the situations are super dire. You'd think he'd dispatch with difficult bad guys right away in order to protect the people around him.
First of all, he's not the strongest player in the game. Heathcliff is. Secondly, the reason why he doesn't use dual wielding is because he doesn't want to draw any more attention to himself than he already has.
Number 2, he breaks the game. This is an offshoot of the above point about Kirito being overpowered. At the end of the first series, Kirito is able to combine his powers and abilities with that of one of the admins of the game, which gives him enough power to actually break the game. It eventually leads to the character's escape from the situation, but if he had this ability to just communicate with the admins to begin with, why did he take so long to do it? This whole situation doesn't just break the game, it kind of breaks the series.
That's not at all what is happening. He's tapping into incarnation. I've already talked about this in my previous debunk video, so definitely go check that out if you haven't already. But long story short, incarnation is basically overpowering the system itself with sheer willpower. The anime doesn't really go into that much detail until Alicization, but in the novel it's foreshadowed when Asuna uses it to save Kirito from Cordial. They even explain incarnation in Excel World, which is written by the same author as SAO and takes place in the same universe. He didn't do this earlier because nobody even knew this was possible. Up until this point, Asuna was the only one who could do it, and even then she didn't have full mastery over it and could only use it in short bursts. What's funny is that this person literally uses a picture of Kirito from the Alicization arc where they literally explain it, yet somehow is completely oblivious to it. I swear, bro, you cannot make this shit up.
Number 1, not being able to deal with Asuna's scumbag fiancé. In real life, Asuna has a fiancé who isn't Kirito through an arranged marriage situation that was a wish of her father's. Sugu is not only a total creep, but he's also a major villain in the game, which gives him the power to make Asuna and Kirito's lives pretty difficult. Again, despite the fact that Kirito is incredibly overpowered and that he knows how to communicate with admins, he's not able to take Oberon, Sugu's in-game avatar, down while he's holding Asuna hostage in a cage. He also fails to kill him in real life even after Sugu threatens his life, seeming weirdly wishy-washy about the whole thing considering the dude assaulted his fiancée.
Okay, so I actually kinda have to give this person a half a point here. It always did bother me how Kirito somehow doesn't overpower the system using incarnation here. I mean, I guess you could make a potential argument that he wasn't in the right frame of mind here, since his entire character arc in Fairy Dance is realizing he's still the same black swordsman he was back in Aincrad, and overcoming that feeling of powerlessness in the real world. But even then, it's like, come on, he's watching the love of his life get sexually assaulted in front of him. Like, how do you not lock the fuck in at that point? So I kind of do have to agree here in the sense that he totally should have been able to overpower the system at this point. But this person doesn't even know about incarnation. And Kayaba's virtual clone gives him access to admin control regardless. So I can't really fully agree here because they're still wrong. Also, how is this at all a critique of Kirito's character? This seems more like an argument against consistency and world building rather than pointing out any actual wrongdoing Kirito did. I mean, never mind Asuna's father, who was the one who arranged the marriage in the first place. Kirito's the one who's out of line here, let me tell ya. I mean, what an absolute scumbag Kirito is, going on an entire journey for the sole purpose of saving Asuna. Man, what a the nerve, the absolute nerve of this guy. Also, while I personally would have loved to see Kirito kill Sugo, he would have suffered pretty horribly from legal repercussions. It doesn't matter if it was in self-defense. Sugo is just too rich and powerful. That would basically be the real-life equivalent of killing Elon Musk, or Mark Zuckerberg, or Bill Gates. It doesn't matter if they're actual scumbags. Their influence and public perception overshadow that. It's just not a good look. Not only would Sugo evade the justice system, but Kirito would probably never see Asuna ever again. It's just not worth it. Kirito did the right thing by letting him live, so he could be charged for his crimes. I don't see how that makes him weak. He very clearly wanted to kill him and absolutely could have, and it took every bit of strength he had not to. I mean, that makes him a better man than me. If I were in that scenario, I absolutely would have done it with zero hesitation. Also, not only does Kirito already not like the idea of killing people, but Gun Gale delves pretty deep into his PTSD he suffers from due to killing people back in Aincrad. Killing Sugo more than likely would have added to his trauma. So that's the end of the article, and man oh man, that was terrible. It's things like this that make me not take SAO haters seriously, because they always say dumb shit like this that just proves they didn't even watch the show and judge it purely based off of hearsay. I know it's only a small minority, but it's a very loud minority, and not many people are willing to call it out. So until we speak up, this spread of misinformation is only gonna get worse. So yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say. Let me know if there are any other articles or videos you guys would like to see me respond to. Catch y'all later.